Well, hello and welcome to another Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. I do hope you're doing well. What I need you to do to start off with today is to go and grab your pen and a bit of paper because we're getting straight on today. Here's our cheesy intro music. Okay, so what you need to do is just leave a gap for the title because let's just get started straight away. We're thinking about Jesus, we're thinking about who Jesus was, and we're going to go on later in the term to look at the Apostles' Creed, a statement of faith about what Christians believe. So I'd like you to start with a little mind map, say leave a couple of lines for your title, I'll come back to that in a second. What do we already know about Jesus? What do we already know about Jesus? And write down whatever you already know about Jesus, and then pause me and come back to me because you might have quite a bit to write down already. Okay, so today's title then, there you go, so you can put the title down now, I know what some of you are like, is we're going to look at how Jesus is portrayed in film. How is Jesus portrayed in film? How is he shown in film? And we're going to explore who Jesus is and how he's shown in film as well. It's going to be a good outcome if you can state 3 ways that Jesus is shown in film. It's going to be great if you can explain why Jesus can be shown in a variety of ways, and even better if you talk about why Jesus is portrayed in film differently by different directors or actors. Now, obviously, this is very similar to last lesson when we looked at artwork. Today we're looking at Jesus in film. So we're going to think about who Jesus was, we're going to look at Jesus in film, and then you're going to create a scene, a film scene as well. So to start off with, I've got a little clip for you. You're going to go back to your mind map. I'd like you to write down, what do some of these people think about Jesus? I found this online from Ari Online, quite like this. So let's watch this and write around your mind map about what people perceive about Jesus.
Who do you think Jesus was?
He was a bloke who was around in the Bible.
I think he was the man. He was a fisherman.
He was a Jew born about 2,000 years ago.
He was a guy who started
I think he was somebody who was probably quite a good teacher and quite an important person.
I think he was the Son of God.
I don't know, I think Jesus was a real person. I'm not sure exactly who he was, but
kind man who sort of was nice to people in society who weren't necessarily accepted.
Yeah, I think it was just a fable.
he's a guy from the Bible.
He was the son of the Christian God.
I don't think he was anybody really. He was, if he did exist, yeah, he might have been a guy that did some nice things for people. But I don't think he walked on water or any of that sort of stuff.
I have to admit that I don't believe in the story of God and his son.
Well, for me, he was a literary character in the Bible.
I think he was the Son of God.
Okay, hope you found that useful, and there's quite a lot in that, I know. So our next question is, how is Jesus shown in film? How is Jesus shown in film? So what I'd like you to do is to do another mind map for me at this point, because I've got another clip to show you. This here goes through different films, and therefore you can write down some facts as we go around that. So I'm going to play this clip to you. You need to write some ideas around about how Jesus is shown in film, because this is going to help you for our next task.
For 2,000 years, painters, sculptors, and musicians have celebrated the figure of Jesus in an urgency born from the depths of the human soul to find, see, and touch the figure of the Saviour. This ancient desire has conquered the cinema as well. Hundreds of movies have combed the sacred literature of the Bible, of the life of the saints, searching for stories with high moral quality that would allow the cinema to succeed as a means of communication for the general public. Stories which would touch the religious feelings of the ordinary people so that even missionaries could show those works in the territories for them to evangelize. This is how it was for the movies that have told the story of Jesus over 115 years of history of the big screen. Let's go through some of them together. The first great film of the silent era is the Italian movie Christus, dating back to 1916. It describes the nativity, the adult life and the resurrection of the Nazarene. The film follows an episodic plot structure, as if showing pictures of the Via Crucis. They would exalt the public's imagination with pictures recalling famous Italian paintings. Back then, cinema was still young, and it found its inspiration in art history. The King of Kings, 1927, tells the story of Mary Magdalene and of her encounter with Jesus. It's the dawn of the great American colossal era, with special effects, color, and the desire to introduce the public to moving characters they will become fond of, even if this means having to part from the sacred sources. The production of the movie was so compelling, said director DeMille, that during those days the actors who interpreted Jesus and the apostles renounced drink, gambling, and a nightlife, and even to meet their wives. Ben-Hur 1959 tells the tale of a conflict between two old friends, a noble Jew and a Roman tribune, both living in Palestine in Jesus' time. It is a unique movie, for it chooses never to show the Nazarene's face in the clips that feature him. We see him turned away from us, we see his hands, and we listen to a musical theme that announces a universal presence which lives in each of our hearts. In those times, the Vatican Council begins to recognize the utility of the means of mass communication to spread the knowledge of the Christian faith. During that year, an atheist and Marxist director, Pasolini, moved by a deep religious crisis, films the Gospel according to St. Matthew and dedicates it to the dear, happy, familiar memory of Pope John XXIII. In those years of great ideological and political conflict, this movie describes Jesus faithfully, according to the Gospel. It is a chronicle that really succeeds in bringing him back among men.
Take me now before I change my mind.
In the early 70s, the young people of the whole world are in turmoil. They are looking for models to follow. The musical Jesus Christ Superstar, 1973, shows them Jesus during his last 7 days on earth, describing him as lonely, abandoned, and full of doubts. He becomes a very human character, the same as Judas the traitor, a man who is forced to carry the burden of having betrayed his master until the end. Jesus of Nazareth, 1977, by Franco Zeffirelli, is the most accurate movie about the life of Jesus. It is an attempt to find sacredness during dark times in Italy and Europe. Jesus is represented as a victim of a violent power. Peter stands out among the apostles. He is rough and surly, but real, as is his personal drama when he faces the mystery.
So, what hopefully you've done now is you've got at least 3 ways Jesus is shown in film. It's going to be great if you can explain how Jesus is shown in a variety of ways. Again, hopefully we've covered that, and talk about why Jesus might be portrayed differently. And that's where we're going to go on to now. So in the description below, you will find a grid, and you will also find some Bible events. What you need to do is you need to choose one of those Bible events. These are the options. Okay, so you've got it about Jesus being baptized, the feeding of the 5,000, bringing Lazarus back from the dead, turning over the tables in the temple, or Resurrection Day, Easter Sunday. You're going to choose one of those. And what you're going to do is you're going to work on that grid with, well, by yourself, or if you're in text communication with someone, you can do it with them. And what you need to do is you need to think about, how are you going to portray Jesus? We've just seen loads of different ways that Jesus could be portrayed. So how are you going to do it? What sort of clothes? What's that Jesus' attitude going to be like? What sort of things are going to happen in your scene? It's obviously a snapshot of something that's happening. You're going to really drill into that. What era will your set will it be set in? So there was a classic musical called Godspell, where Jesus was shown as a hippie. It was set in the 60s. It fitted very well to show how Jesus fitted into that culture. So what I'd like you to do is to choose, when are you setting it? Is it modern? Is it old? Is it ancient? Is it Jesus' lifetime? How are people going to relate to Jesus? And then you're going to draw a little picture of your scene and explain why you've added the bits you have. This is going to take you 15 minutes or so. Okay, so what you're going to do is to complete this grid. That's me done for this lesson. Always a blessing when it's a short one, but you've got quite a lot to get on with there. So thanks very much for your time. Stay safe, wash your hands, God bless you. Oh, and please send all your work through to your teachers as well, because we obviously want to know where you're up to.